Welcome to the Wingman Show. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown, and my wingman, my man, the number one guy I know, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown, and we are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. That other badass jet pilot, my wingman, my friend, the guy that you call Doctor, my friend, Dr. Paul Thompson. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Drew. Good to see you. Going to have a good show today. My fingers are thawing out from my cold shower, and I'm ready to get started.
That's great. I'm doing cold dips too. I was in 47-degree water. I jump in my pool now after my sauna, and it's freezing in there. And I'll tell you what, I am getting more energy. My son was right. That cold dip really does work. All right, let's start this show off with a quote. Gratitude unlocks the fullness in life. Once again, gratitude unlocks the fullness in life. And that was by Melody Beattie, believe it or not. And gratitude is one of the best things you can do. And there are ways that we can express gratitude, Dr. Paul. Let me give you 7 ways of actually expressing gratitude a little bit better. The first one is a handwritten note. Dr. Paul, I won't ever forget this, but when I spoke for David Rockefeller at a motivational speaking engagement, he said, hey, why don't you contact me if you need anything? And I was like, wow, cool. He gave me his card. And Dr. Paul, all he had on his card was a post office box number. In other words, if you want to get in touch with me, write me. I thought that was mega cool. So anyway, if you really want to say thank you to somebody, take the time and write a note and actually send it in with the post office. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, that's a lot of people say that's old fashioned, and a lot of folks can't do it. Yeah, do that. That's actually the way to stand out, because nobody writes, and everybody that writes, their penmanship is terrible. And I can say that because mine is pretty bad. I peaked in 3rd grade and went down from there. But that's just true. Everybody's penmanship is bad because we're typing stuff. So if you can halfway print as well as like a dog or something like that, write somebody something in like a little card, a little note. They won't expect it. It's not junk mail. So they're probably going to freak out about it. Just in fact, probably bad penmanship is a good thing. Just make it legible so they can deliver it. And
That's
put a
right.
little thank you note for something. Yeah, that'll get attention.
Sure. And that means you're taking a little time out of your life to say thank you. Another way to express gratitude, this is a great way, is be specific. We always say thanks for everything, thanks for this. But the next time you thank somebody, be specific on what they actually helped you do. Another way, a simple gift like baking cookies or a flower, something not expensive, but something that shows you care. Another way to do gratitude is do a gratitude journal. I never thought about that. But boy, if I write down every day what I'm grateful for, I will have no reason to complain. How about this, Paul? When you're out in public, why don't you compliment your server, especially if he does a good job, give him a good tip, but other service workers or nurses or doctors that you're with, say thank you to people who are around you that do good things. It is really important. That's like complimenting the world around you. But the most important thing, I think, in starting gratitude is show yourself some gratitude. Show yourself self-appreciation. Give yourself the soft pillow. Be nice to yourself. Huh, Paul?
Yeah, I agree. And when you mentioned a gratitude journal, you talked about it, a little bit before. So I actually started one yesterday. I did it last night before I went to bed. Just I get these little books, little journals. There's like a secondhand store nearby. You get these like cute, nice size notebooks that are bound for like $1.50 or whatever. You're trying to get rid of them. So I used one last night. I wrote a page of what I did yesterday, what went well, what I'm grateful for. And yeah, like I said, last night was the first time I did it. I probably won't do it all year, but I had it in mind and I put it down. I felt okay after doing it.
That sounds great. Well, you know what I'm grateful for? Well, first of all, I got an announcement. My grandson, Drew Brown the fifth, is 2 years old today. And I had to say that. He's a wonderful grandson with my other two granddaughters. But baby Drew today, Drew Dean Brown the fifth, is 2 years old today. You know where I just came back from, Dr. Paul? Virgin Voyages. I was on a New Year's Eve Virgin Voyage cruise. And man, I'm going to show some video actually of it, but it was a fantastic cruise. And I'll tell you what, maybe we should start supporting Virgin Voyages. If they won't give us any money, maybe they'll give us a free cruise. But it is the number one cruise line in Katrina and mine's life now. We love Virgin Voyages and we're expecting to go on some more. But Virgin Voyage. So when I came back off the cruise, I called up an Uber. The guy who actually answered the Uber call could not speak hardly any English. Long story short, we got in the car, we started riding, and we kind of started talking a little bit. I know very little Spanish, but I know a little bit. Well, come to find out, this guy was a doctor in Cuba. He's 32 years old, nice young man, 32 years old. His wife was a doctor in Cuba too. They flew to Nicaragua and walked to Mexico. Now, how come they're not showing doctors walking to Mexico? Because these were two doctors that did walk to Mexico. And it was a trip, so we couldn't really speak that well. He showed me on an iPhone how to translate what I'm saying into Spanish, or when he sends it to me in Spanish, how to translate it back into English. Anyway, you know how we talk about good news? That's what we're about, Dr. Paul. How come they don't show doctors walking at the border? You know, that's unfair. There are a lot of good people coming to this country. What do you think about that story in my Virgin Voyage cruise?
Well, that's good. First, on the Virgin Voyage, New Year's Eve, did they like do fireworks or what
Oh,
happened?
man, Dr. Paul, they partied their ass off. And I'm going to show you a video. I'll show a video right now. Of how it looked up there.
Okay, okay. What percentage of the crew were Americans versus other nationalities? I'm curious.
2% maybe. Most
2%
of the
maybe.
crew was foreign.
Okay.
And they had a lot of people from Brazil. They had people from the Philippines, India. They had a whole world. Such a diverse crew. It was amazing. And I think, you know, that's the thing about Virgin Voyage, that their diversity, but their attitude. They have a never say no attitude. If you ask them for something, they're going to find a way to do it.
Okay, okay, that's good. Yeah, for us people coming across the border, the images are not very good. It's I guess it's a crisis down there now. You talk about foreign agents coming in, and it's entirely possible. But it's good to know that there are some decent people who are coming that are trying to add, not probably not to be a burden, but they're trying to get out of a bad situation. I don't think there's enough discussion on why is this massive humanity hitting the border at this time, or really in the last few years. I don't hear a lot of talk about the background.
The background, Dr. Paul, simple. They want a better life. And where they live sucks. And if
Right.
you and
Well,
I lived where they lived, we'd bring our family here too.
yeah, but I'm just saying that, there's like a flushing out that's occurred in a relatively short period of time in a massive way. We're not talking about that too much. Okay, it's drugs and crime. Those are general worries, but exactly what's happened to make people walk literally hundred thousands of miles.
Well, people are scared of gangs, and there are gangs who are trying to take their children and put them in gangs. They fear for their life. And when you fear for your life, you leave, especially if you have a family. That's not even close. I want to better my life. I want to better my life now. So if I lived in a shithole that didn't produce anything for me and I was scared every day, I would take my family out of there. So that's how I feel.
Well,
Check out those badass jets we got behind us, Dr. Paul. I have some F-15s. What do you have behind you?
that's called a Panavera Tornado. Tornado, depends on who's pronouncing it. Tornado. It's made by and flown by Britain, Germany, Italy, and I think they exported some to Saudi Arabia. Britain stopped flying them in 2019. But it's a twin engine Mach 2 plus airplane. I've seen them. I've been right next to them. They're kind of small. There's two people, there's a pilot in front, weapon system officer in the back, and it's can do a lot of stuff, a lot of air to ground, low altitude strikes. They use them in the Gulf War. I think they lost about a half dozen, but apparently it's a pretty capable airplane. It's cool looking. It's small and it's a variable swept wings. So they come back when they're going fast, and they come out forward when they're going slow, like an F-14 or F-111.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And, we have a great wingman for you today. I'm going to just call him Aquaman. Hey, everybody out there, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on iHeartRadio or you're checking us out on Instagram, follow us. Do something that you can really help us with is subscribe and write a little comment. Thank you all so much for watching us, our frequent flyers especially. And, we have a frequent flyer newsletter that comes out once a week at wingmenshow.com. That's wingmenshow.com. I'll put it up on the screen for you YouTubers. Our newsletter is the bomb. Matter of fact, last week, our newsletter was writing about different types of engineering you can get into. If you're interested in being an engineer, Dr. Paul's an engineer, so we wrote something up to show you what different kinds of engineering are. It's a great newsletter. Well, the name of our show this week is How to Have a Happy New Year. Take it one day at a time. So how about these New Year's resolutions? I'm a little bit fed up with New Year's resolutions because I never keep them. Well, I just learned, and I think I'm going to start doing new day resolutions. In other words, if you want a resolution, do it day by day. What can I do today and fulfill it? And when you wake up tomorrow, do something else tomorrow. But those are attainable goals. What happens is I think we make goals that are unreachable. And when you say, I'm going to do this for a certain period of time, that's very hard to hold. But you definitely have control over today. So I think for my New Year's resolution, I'm going to start making daily resolutions to be a better person. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because you can really take what you want to do daily and combine that with your journal you do nightly, and you can see how it goes. Just, I need to do like 3 things today, 4 things. I got 3 of them done. Did 3 of them well, or did 2 of them well. This needs a little work. And you can give yourself really kind of like a scorecard without being too tough on yourself, too condemning if you don't do everything that you set out or don't do it 100% right, because it's not for the whole year. It's just for a day or so. If you can't do it for a day, maybe do it like a couple times a week, just to monitor your progress. But yeah, everybody does that. Most of it is around, personal appearance and fitness and recovering from overeating and over drinking during the holiday period. So people typically forget about that probably like day number 3 after they get back to their old habit patterns.
Well, habits are the reason that we do things. And if you change your habits, especially changing them to do something good, it takes a little while. I think they said maybe 3 weeks. If you do something consistently for 3 weeks, it becomes a habit. But that was a great idea you had. Write in your journal at night things you want to do the next day. And then the next day, when you write your gratitude, find out how many things you actually did. That would keep you abreast of what you're doing daily. And Dr. Paul, we have a frequent flow line, where people ask us questions. Write us at wingmenshow.com, ask us a question. And here's the question we got for this week. It's a guy from Honolulu, Hawaii, a man that's 36 years old. And he asked me, how did I become a motivational speaker? I'll try to keep this as short and quick as I can, but it all started out when I was in the Navy. I was the only Black Navy jet pilot flying anything I flew. Paul was too. Whenever we were in, we were the only Blacks. Well, when I went to Oceana, they wanted me to speak to some kids in the school. And I said, sure. And I went in with my flight suit and I started speaking. The first thing that I realized is that I enjoyed it. So when I talk about motivational speaking, you have to enjoy what you're talking about. You also have to know what you're talking about, and you also have to speak from your heart. I realized that the reason I became successful is because when I joined the Navy at 26 years old, I had a college degree. If I didn't have that college degree, life would be totally different for me. So I based my motivational speaking on talking to kids about going to college. And the reason was that when I said I wanted to grow up and be something at 26, I could have been a doctor, I could have been a truck driver, but it would have been my choice. If I didn't have that college degree, or I didn't have my high school diploma, or if that's all I had, truck driver, McDonald's, and the rest of the fast food restaurants were where I could have gone. But since I had that college degree, I could have been a doctor, lawyer, or even a Navy jet pilot. And I started to spread that message to children. Get your degree, go to college. It's the best 4 or 5 years of your life. I say 5 because I flunked out my first year. I liked it so much, but I studied the rest and I graduated cum laude. So that's how I became a motivational speaker, Dr. Paul.
Okay, that's good to hear. I didn't know that actually. That's a good question. I learned a few things too. Yeah, I remember seeing you on a number of big time TV shows some years back, and you're well known. Mr. Drew has touched a lot of people, ranging from 4-star generals to people flying today. I was speaking to a UPS pilot, the UPS captain, a few weeks ago, and we were discussing something totally different. And Drew Brown's name came up. I wasn't even in the discussion. It was a Zoom with about 4 other people. And someone said, "Who's that?" This guy said, "He's a motivational speaker. You should hear him." I said, "Oh, really?" I'm just laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm smiling to myself. I said, "Yeah, he's a motivational speaker." And then we moved on to something else. So, people know you that you don't even know.
That's wonderful. And Dr. Paul, you know what I'm really grateful for? Honest to God, you have seen me at my speaking best 3 or 4 times. And that's the best thing I could say. I know that you know how I speak, what I speak about, and I talk from the heart. And I really do care about who I speak to. And that brings me to this. A Wingman PSA. From the 11 Facts in Life. Fact number 5. Learn to listen and discern. Learn to listen and discern. And discernment is an extremely important word. That means if I tell you 10 things and one of them is bad, please listen to the 9. When somebody's talking to you, don't take the one negative thing they said and throw out everything else positive they said. You have to start discerning. In other words, the things you don't like, put in a box. The things you do like, put in another box. But don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. What do you think about discernment, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, that's right. Everything's not going to be perfect. Everybody's not going to be right on 100% of things. On TV, a lot of times we're looking at things and they'll throw gotcha questions at people for the sole purpose of trying to trick them up in something and not trying to really bring out good information or have a discussion. It's more like, I'm going to throw some rocks your way and you'll probably be able to dodge most of them. But my goal is to hit you with something just to feel good about myself. That's one of the things about people that do interviews. They talk like they know everything, but I mean, what businesses are they running? Maybe they are, but typically they aren't. They don't know anything. Or someone criticizing a certain athlete. Oh, he's just blah, 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 blah. You've never gone for a rebound in your life. You never, you wouldn't know what it is. You can't even bounce a ball. It's so, but if you have a good mouth and a way of speaking, and I'm talking about the opposite of a motivational speaker, someone that can destroy people, but very well, very good at it. You can make a name for yourself as a critic. But what have you really done? Being a critic is easy. Breaking a window is easy. Fixing the window is a little more challenging. Everybody can do that. And sometimes society gets trapped into just piling on negative things on folks and not really doing anything themselves. And maybe that's a way of hiding your own insecurities, your own failings, going like the best defense is a good offense. I'll be offensive all the time, but you're not really developing, and everybody should develop, in my opinion.
That's excellent, Dr. Paul. And following that, I'll give you some good news. This will make you smile, Dr. Paul. There's going to be some gin and juice at the Olympics next year. And what I mean by that is Snoop Dogg, dog, is going to be commentating on the Olympics. What a following he has. Puff, puff, pass. Snoop Doggy Dog, a rapper doing television. He's an entrepreneur. He's in the cannabis business. Snoop Doggy Dogg is one of the only rappers that you and your grandparents know. Snoop Dogg in Paris for the Olympics. Talk to me about that, Paul.
Yeah, I looked at that, and he's one of these rappers, like a lot of them now, who are they're senior citizens. They can have AARP cards. They're old enough. I bet it's gonna. It sounds crazy. It's probably going to be really, really good because the Olympics go from July 26th of July to like the 11th of August. I think I saw, which is a ways. And sometimes it gets dry when they go over what happened. If you're not looking at the live events, throwing him in there will probably make it interesting because nobody knows what's gonna happen. And I guess there are different venues because they're going to be in different parts of Paris. And I happen to see there's a place that I like called the Place de la. They're going to do some stuff around the Eiffel Tower, but Place de la Concorde, because there's a layover hotel. We used to lay over near there. We're just close to the Louvre. It's real close to the Louvre.
Mm-hmm.
I really like being around there. And there's a big obelisk that looks like the Washington Monument. That's what I remember. I used to take pictures. See if I can find one we can put on the in our pictures. But there's supposed to be one of the things they're going to be doing. They're going to be doing breakdancing. They're going to be doing the Olympic breakdancing at this park, the Place de la Concorde, this phenomenon that started in the Bronx back in the 70s. And a couple other things they're going to be doing there. They're going to be doing that and some strange things. So different events are going to be going on in different parts of Paris. It'd probably be nice to be there.
Oh, yeah. Paris is a beautiful city. And we were very lucky to go there a hell of a lot of times.
Yes.
And remember when Keith, yourself, you were the captain, and Keith and I were your co-captains, and we took a 777 to Paris for a weekend. Now that was the American dream right there.
That was a cool flight. That was a fun flight. I won't lie. That was a fun flight.
And Snoop Dogg, these rappers are not, don't push them aside. Dr. Dre's a billionaire. Jay-Z is a billionaire. Sean Puffy Combs is a billionaire. These guys are making money, but they're being good businessmen too. Snoop Dogg just bought Death Row Records. These guys are really smart, and what they're doing is bringing smart people around them. That's what I think is real important. How about this great news? My cousin Josh does not eat meat because of the torture that they do to animals. That's why he doesn't eat meat. Well, guess what? They have just introduced a 3D chip that can now stop animal testing. So they don't have to test these medical procedures on animals. They can do it through a 3D chip that I believe that it checks your lungs, your brain, your heart, your liver, one other thing. But what they're doing now is they're using this chip instead of using animals. So our animals don't have to be in pain or die anymore. How about that great news, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, that's really fascinating because you can take this 3D chip and simulate the body's reaction without, I guess, torturing anything, and you can see how it's going to react with different medicines and different procedures. How all the organs, your heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, and brain will react with different medicines under different circumstances. So this would be great for everybody, not just for the animals, but for us too. It may speed the development of a lot of things, and probably cut down on the bad results or deaths during testing. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about that too. How about this good news? This is all the gouge, and that's shit you need to know. In the Navy, we had gouge. That's information that you didn't normally get. Well, the Wingman Show brings you the gouge. And how about this gouge? It has start becoming law that they are going to start teaching personal finance in high schools, which they should have been doing a long, long time ago. I cannot tell you how important it is to start your financial life off correctly and not start in a hole, get a credit card, and think you can buy everything that you can't pay for. It will ruin your life for 6, 7 years easily. You need to know what to do with money, how to start your financial success. And there are rules and regulations you need to know. You need to know that you need to save and pay yourself first. Every time you get paid, you are the most important entity in the world. Make sure you put your savings away first. Dr. Paul, personal finance, high school, terribly needed, and now it's becoming law.
Yeah, that's it. That's a great thing because everybody needs a good start because you want to build, but the thing is to start to get started. Like you said, Mr. Drew said, don't start off in the hole because actually you're negative. No, you're in the hole, and how far do you fall? You fall to the depth of the hole. So we don't want to be falling. We want to be building. Yeah, I mean you'll have some stumbling blocks here and there, but you don't want to get to the point where I got to have everything. Then you end up having nothing. Stuff loses value, the second you buy it. But think in terms of the future. Have something like you said, pay yourself first, and keep doing it, even if it's a little bit. Just keep doing, get into the habit, and adjust those numbers up as your income goes up or as you're able to. But the thing is to get started. Compound interest, you've got to have something to compound and the time to do it. So when you're young, that's the time to do it. How young? Young is young. Live to
As soon as
100.
you start getting paid, I say, as soon
Right.
as you get a paycheck, that's when you start.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well, our show's called the Wingman Show, and there's a reason. And every show we have a wingman. And this wingman, Dr. Paul, is something else. I mean, this guy's an Army veteran, 8-year Army veteran, Juan Serrano. Juan Serrano didn't want to go to church this day, but his wife made him go to church because they have a little nonprofit and they were trying to get that started. So he went to church. He came back from church, and on his ride home, he drove over a bridge and noticed there was a young man pacing back and forth along the bridge. He pulled his car over and he asked the guy, "Hey, do you need any help?" He was a teenager. And the kid looked kind of confused. Well, when Juan got out of the car to say, "Hey, I can help you," the kid jumped over the bridge. He jumped 50 feet into a frozen river at night. And do you know what Juan Serrano did? He found that kid and jumped after him. So Juan Serrano jumped in a river, a freezing river, at night, 50 feet from the bridge into the water. He finally found the kid. They had drifted a mile down, believe it or not, in this freezing water. And he used his belt and a backpack and the kid's backpack to pull him out of the water. They didn't give his name because he was trying to commit suicide. And that's horrible. And that's going back to mental health. But the thing was, when the kid popped out of the water, he was screaming for help. And Juan Serrano is our wingman this week. And Juan Serrano saved a life of a young person that hopefully will get his help and go on and live a very productive life. But that's the wingman for our week. You like that, Paul?
I like that. That's extreme bravery, jumping into 50 feet, period, daylight or whatever. It's really longer dive than that. But I'm glad he was able to do that. That's a miraculous. He got in the water, got him, went a mile, and everybody's still alive.
Amazing as far as I'm concerned. And that's what this Wingman Show, that's what Dr. Paul and I try to do every week. There are good stories out there. There are good people out there. Actually, the majority of us are good people. I'm sorry we get to just see the bad all the time. Well, not with the Wingman Show. And Dr. Paul and everybody who can hear my voice, whatever you guys think is beautiful, whatever you think is important, And Dr. Paul and all of our listeners, whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too. And to those who are watching this, we appreciate you for listening, liking, and sharing the message. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button if you would, and subscribe. We'd like to get our subscriptions up. That way the algorithm will spread our message to more people. So please give us a like, share if you feel motivated, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.